Yes. Okay. So if you look at the second example, we were playing in the park. What kind of sentence is this? Is this simple, compound, complex? And how do you know this is? If it's simple, how do you know? If it's compound, how do you know? If it's a complex, on what basis? Amina, what do you think?
It is a simple sentence
Mm-hmm.
because it contains subject and verb and a complete thought.
Which one is the subject and which one is the verb?
We
Uh-huh.
is the subject. We're playing is the verb. And the part
Yes,
is the
together.
complete thought. Yes.
Exactly, exactly. So the next example, it's called outside again. So be careful. When we talk about verb, it doesn't necessarily always to be the action. So for example, it's called outside. Do you have any action here? Which one is the verb first? Is, right?
Yes.
But is there any action in this sentence? It's called outside? No, there's no
No.
No,
action.
cold outside is a thought.
Yes, it's a state of being, okay?
Yeah.
It's a state of being. So when we say a verb does not necessarily always to be an action, okay? For example, it could be a state of mind, a state of being. For example, when you say, I like movies, so the verb like here, there's no action. We have a verb here, like, but there's no action in it. It's a state of mind, okay? It's a state of feeling. Right. So the next example, William and Julie have eaten all our cake. The subject, William and Julie, you could extend it, the subject. We go back to the phrases, okay? Here. So look here, William and Julie, which means they have eaten all our cake. Have eaten is the verb, okay? There's an action here. So yeah, this is the simple sentence. So if you look at the explanation here, these are all simple sentences. Why? Because they contain one complete clause. Okay, so note that just because the sentence structure is simple, it does not mean the tense, subject, or additional information are simple. So do not always think about the simple subject, the simple tense. When we talk about simple sentence, it doesn't mean that we always have I, she, he, okay? John, Mary. So sometimes you could have a long subject. So simple does not mean you have only one simple subject or one simple tense of the verb. We will come to this and we will take an example down. So the components the components of the sentence can contain phrases with multiple words. You could have multiple means many words in the simple sentence, such as prepositional phrase, like in the park, or compound nouns, like William and Julie, and different verb aspects, were playing or have eaten. So simple sentences can therefore become very long. It's possible to have a very long simple sentences because as the phrase become longer, but unless additional verbs are introduced, they are still simple sentence. So as long as you have one verb phrase, it is considered a simple sentence. If you look at this example here, that's a very good example. The tired old man had been waiting quietly for the bus to his appointment in town for many hours. If you look at the surface structure, سطحي, if you look at the surface structure, you might think this is not a simple sentence, but it's a simple sentence. Let me tell you this. You might be surprised a bit. Okay, how come this is a simple sentence? But it is a simple sentence. Why? Because you have an extended subject and an extended verb phrase, okay? Which one is the subject here? Can anyone analyze?
Yeah, can I?
Yeah, please, go ahead.
The tired old man is the subject.
Yes.
Had been waiting quietly is the verb. And for the bus to his apartment, the whole sentence, this an action or thoughts.
Yes, it's the complementation. Okay, it's the complementation of the verb.
Can
Very
we say
good.
the completed thought?
Well, it's a completed thought. When we say completed thought, we look at the whole sentence, okay? We do not only look at the what comes after the verb phrase.
Okay.
Does that make sense, Helen?
Yes.
I mean, we have to look at the meaning. Does it make sense? يعني كدلين مثلا أو simple sentence آية ارتكاء منطقية معقولة. Does it make sense or not? Yeah, this is what we mean by complete thought.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Yeah. So no one can deny, because not one in Karibka, to say that this is a compound sentence or a complex sentence. Okay? This is a simple sentence. All right. So let's talk a little bit about compound sentences in a more detail and take some more interesting examples. So as we said in the previous lecture, compound sentences contain more than one independent clauses. So to distinguish a compound sentence, you must have two independent clauses, okay? We said independent means main clause, okay? They are connected as a single grammatical unit. For example, I ate my lunch and I went to school. This is a compound sentence because you have two independent clauses. I ate my lunch, which is the first independent clause. I went to school is the second independent clause. This example is two clauses joined by a conjunction, as we said. We join the compound sentences using the coordination. What does coordinator mean? Coordinator. For example, you say, my friend is a coordinator at university. What does that mean, coordinator? Coordination. What's the meaning of coordination? Coordinator. Coordinator is a noun person. يعني منسق.
Yeah, and I know just in Arabic. So this.
Yeah. Even I don't know in Kurdish, what is it actually? If someone can tell us, I'll be thankful. Okay, we don't have translation anyways. So coordinator means it collaborates, it facilitates between two parties or two sides, okay? Yeah. Munasaq, I don't know. Rekhar maybe in Kurdish, okay, anyways. So without the conjunction, they could form two separate simple sentences. Look, you can separate them. If you don't use the conjunction, you can say, I ate my lunch, I went to school. Two complete, meaningful, independent sentences, okay? I ate my lunch, I went to school. You could also separate them using the comma, the periodic, the full stop. So compound sentences use clauses joined by coordinating conjunctions such as and, but, for, yet, so, no, nor, or, okay, which we abbreviated as fanboys. They combine two independent clauses and can represent relationship between the clauses of a compound sentences, but do not make the clause dependent on each other. So the separate idea of a compound sentence can exist independently if you remove the conjunction. Again, one more example here. The dog fetched the ball and he brought it back. You could separate this compound sentence, okay? Removing the conjunction, you can say, the dog fetched the ball, he brought it back. But as we said, to make your writing more colorful, to add flavor, or to make your writing more interesting, we try to join them together, okay? Because when we talk and when we write, we do not express ourselves in single isolated sentences, okay? We have to join our sentences to make it more interesting, okay? So, when you list more than one independent clauses, for instance, in a sequence of events, it's not necessary to connect each one with a conjunction. In such an example, you can separate independent clauses with commas. So you don't have to always separate with the conjunction, the independent clauses, okay? When you talk about a sequence of events, a number of events that happen one after another, sequence. Okay. For example, you can say, I walked into town, I met with my friends, and I bought a new computer. So you don't have to, here you have a sequence of events, a number of events coming one after another. So you don't have to say, I walked into town and I met with my friends and I bought a new computer. Okay, it's not good this way. I walked into town, okay, you separate it using comma. I met with my friends and I bought a new computer. Okay, it's kind of boring if you use and, okay? It's monotonous, which means something repeated over and over again. Okay, so when the subject is the same in different independent clauses, when you have the same subject in two different independent clauses, as with the above example, look here, I, you have the same subject. It does not necessarily need to be separate, to be repeated, okay? You cannot, I mean, you can also remove the subject if you have the same subject in all independent clauses. For example, I walked into town, met with my friends, and bought a new computer. So here, it's absolutely okay to remove the subject. You can say, I walked into town, met with my friends, and bought a new computer. Instead of saying, I walked into town, I met with my friends, and I bought a new computer. This linguistic phenomena is called ellipsis. أو ellipsis. Ellipsis, what you omit a single essential grammatical unit, okay? Instead of using it again, you just remove it and it makes sense. Now here you can infer, you can come to the conclusion when you say I walked into town, met with my friends, it means I met with my friends. Bought a new computer, I bought. But we used ellipses, okay? We removed the subject. Right. So, down a bit further, the independent clauses in compound sentences are often ordered according to time when showing a listed sequence of action. For example, I went to the shop and I bought a bag of fruit, then I came home. So when we have a series of clauses, a number of independent clauses, they are usually ordered according to time. Okay? So first I went to the shop and I bought a bag of fruit, then I came home. First going to the shop, then buying a bag of fruit, then coming home. Look. So they are ordered according to the time, okay? Right. Compound sentences may also be ordered to show cause and effect. You know what a cause and effect is? You've studied in writing, academic writing. So something causes something else, okay? For example, she studied all night, so she was late for the exam. This is a compound sentence. We have two independent clauses here. She studied all night, so she was late for the exam. She studied all night, but she was late for the exam. Again, this is a compound sentence. because you have two independent clauses. Okay? Right. And in your book, on page 166, the writer says, we call the whole sentence superordinate. Okay, superordinate clause. Super means very big, okay? And together all, she said it all night, so she was late for the exam. This is all, in English, we call it superordinate clause. In the book, an example is given on page 166. It says, I quickly shut the door before the animal could escape. Look, it's indicated. The whole clause together is superordinate clause. همون بیکا پیدا superordinate. Okay? We have dependent, independent, ordinate as well. Okay. Anyways, this is not the topic of our discussion. So here, the first sentence shows she was late. If you look at the first sentence, it shows that she was late because she studied hard, using so, okay? The result, the effect. While the second sentence shows she was late in spite of studying hard, using but, suggesting a contrast. So in both of these examples, however, the sequence of time is still important in deciding the order of the clause. In both clauses, in both sequence, it's very important to decide the order of the clauses. She was late after studying all the night. So, however, if you look at down a bit, if the order of event is not important and we are not showing cause and effect, then the order of the independent clause within a compound sentence can be flexible. How? For example, on our holiday, we sunbathed on the beach, we went to many restaurants, and we swam in the sea. You can say, on our holiday, we swam in the bath. So the order of the event is not important here, okay? Because we are not showing cause and effect here in this structure, in this sequence. You could play with the structure, okay? Because it's not important which event happened before which. It's quite flexible. You can play around with this structure. On our holiday, we swam in the sea, we sunbathed on the beach, and we went to many restaurants. You could also say, on our holiday, we went to many restaurants, we sunbathed on the beach, and we swam in the sea. Very flexible. Okay. I'm going to share, by the way, this piece of information. I will upload it to the Moodle. Don't worry about this if you don't get your notes, okay? So let's talk a little bit about the complex sentences. So complex sentences are structures where an independent clause is joined to one or more dependent clause. This is the simplest definition of the complex sentence. So to have an a complex sentence, you must always have an independent clause joined to one or more than dependent clause. So you could have more than one dependent clauses in complex sentences, okay? So it says two or more, be careful. We will come to this and analyze more. So dependent clauses are created by subordinating conjunctions. We said that we join the complex sentences using the subordinating conjunctions, such as what? Because, when, since, if, after, and although. And we have, of course, more. Or relative pronouns. Look, we have something else here. Maybe this information is new. You could also use the relative pronouns as a subordinating conjunctions, like what? That, who, which, okay? Which create a dependent connection between the clauses. So dependent clauses lack information that would make them a complete idea. For example, when I watched that movie, So here you don't have the complete thought, okay? So you stop and think about it. You know, your intuition tells you that something is missing here, okay? There's a lack of information. Lack of information. Lack يعني عدم يعني نبون يشتك هنا. Something is missing here. Because the class were being so noisy, so what? Doesn't make sense. Who was waiting to cross the road? Again, this is a dependent clause because it does not express a complete idea, a complete thought. Right. So if you look at down further, combined with an independent clause, these can form full sentence. So the dependent clauses only have meanings when they are combined or when they are joined with independent clauses. Alone, they are meaningless, they are incomplete. Okay? I cried when I watched that movie. So we have I cried here, which is independent. When I watched that movie, it's the dependent clause, okay? So only when it's combined with the independent clauses, it makes sense or it gives the full meaning. The next example, the teacher groaned because the class were being so noisy. So the teacher groaned is the independent clause, as you can see here. Because the class were being so noisy is the dependent clause, because the meaning depends on the main clause, which is independent. The teacher groaned. He helped the man who was waiting to cross the road. I would like someone to analyze this for us. Maybe Zainab, if you are still there. Which one is independent? What kind of sentence is this? And are you there, Zainab? Yes. Please unmute yourself, Zainab, if you can hear me. Oh, let me ask Malvin if you are not ready. Malvin, he helped the man who was waiting to cross the road. So, good morning. Yeah.
I'm still processing. It's a bit complicated for me, so yeah.
Yes. So, Malvin, I think you joined us late, but you were with us in the last lecture. So we talked about the different types of sentences, simple, compound, and complex. So this structure, if you look at this structure, what kind of sentence is this? Is this simple, compound, or complex, or compound complex? What do you think? Can you analyze this one?
I don't know really.
Yeah, Hajar. Thank you, Alvin.
Yes, I'm here.
Go ahead, please.
He helped the man. It's the independent sentence.
Independent clause, good.
Independent clause. And who was waiting to cross the road in independent.
Okay, it's dependent clause. This one, who was waiting to cross the road, is dependent clause. Okay, and it's a relative clause. What kind of clause is this? It's a relative. What's the meaning of relative clause? And it's related. It gives more information about the noun, okay? He helped the man. Which man? The one who was waiting to. He helped which man? the one who was waiting to cross the road. So this is a dependent clause. Okay, good. And it's a complex sentence. Yes. So there is no comma here, as you can notice. There is no comma separating the clause when the independent clause comes first. We talked about this. When the independent clause comes first at the beginning of the complex sentence, you don't have to use the comma. Okay. In fact, dependent clauses can be seen to take the place of a sentence component. For example, when I watch the movie, fits into the sentence. It's kind of relation, okay? It's time in the sentence. And like a time, it could also come at the beginning of the sentence to emphasize it. You can say, when I watched that movie, I cried. So I think we talked about that when we use the dependent clauses initially or at the beginning of the complex sentence, you should use the comma here, as you can see in this example. When I watched the movie, I cried. So here it expresses time. Okay? Yes. So generally, a dependent clause connected by a subordinating conjunction can be placed first for emphasis, توكيد, لو تأكيد, tension, or merely to explain things in a logical order. For example, since the park was closed down, the children have had nowhere to play. You could also use the independent clause initially. You can say the children have had nowhere to play since the park was closed down. And in this case, you don't need the comma. But here you need it because the dependent clause is used at the beginning of this structure. Although he liked the movie, she was frustrated by the journey home. I have noticed that many students make this mistake when they use although, they use but. Okay, although she liked the movie, this is one dependent clause, she was frustrated by the journey home. Okay, so you don't have to say but she was frustrated. Although it was raining, we went to the picnic. You cannot say although it was raining, but we went to the picnic. No, when you use although, you don't have to use but. Okay?
So, Mr. Yasin, this is although she liked the movie, she was frustrated by the journey home.
Yes.
This
okay.
What kind of sentence is that? That's
what
complex,
do you think?
right?
Yes, it is.
That's a complex, right?
It is. You know why? You can tell us why.
Yeah, I think because of the subordinators, like although and the
Exactly.
since.
Definitely.
One is
yes.
complex and the other, the second sentence is the, like, in the first sentence, first part is like complex and the other is incomplex.
Yes.
It's right.
True. For example, if you just say, although she liked the movie. So is this a complete thought? Can we say this alone?
No, we cannot.
We cannot. You must have something.
We can. She liked the movie. It's kind of,
Yes.
we can.
She liked the movie is okay, but here we have although. This is all together.
Yeah, there's although. That's why it will be a thought.
That's why we call it complex.
Uh-huh.
Okay, this structure is complex.
I see.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yes. So when placed at the beginning of the sentence, dependent clauses should be separated by comma. We said that. Because of the bad weather, we decided to stay at home. Because we have used the dependent clause at the beginning, in the initial position. After the game was over, the players, you make a short pause. After the game was over, the players were very tired. Okay. So dependent clauses link it with a relative pronoun such as who, that, or which. They are called relative clauses, which usually take the place of a noun phrase. For example, the entire clause, the man who was waiting to cross the road in the above example, could be replaced by another noun phrase. Yani we can replace this clause by another noun phrase, or moved in the same way as a noun phrase. Yes. For example, let me go back to the. He helped the man who was waiting to cross the road. You can replace who was waiting to cross the road by another noun phrase, okay? You can replace it by another noun phrase, or moved in the same way as a noun phrase, as you can see in these examples. You can say, I helped the woman, instead of saying, I helped the man who was waiting to cross the road. Who was waiting to cross the road? You can replace this relative dependent clause by a single noun phrase, the woman. Yes.
Mr. Yasin,
Please, go ahead.
Sarah said to me to told you that I cannot join the online class.
Why is
I
that?
sent to her
Does she
the
have
link, but
connection
she
problem?
cannot.
You mean she cannot join?
Yes,
She
yes.
cannot. Okay. Maybe the fault is with her, not with us.
I don't know. I sent to her the same link that I sent to the group, but she
Okay.
cannot. I don't know why.
She has problem with her maybe phone
Yes.
or laptop. I don't know, because you could all join. I mean, so there must be a problem with her
Yes.
laptop or phone. I don't know. Okay. Anyways, I will.
She said to me to say to you.
Sorry.
Okay, just a minute.
Okay, don't worry, because the session is recorded. She can still go back to the, and I will upload to the Moodle. She can watch the entire session in her free time, okay? Yes. Guys, let's do some exercise, okay, before we end the session, just to confirm that you have understood. Can you still see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Good. So look at these exercise here. Rewrite the following sentences. We have got some sentences here. I think, let me see, 10 sentences. Rewrite them as simple, compound, or complex as required, or as indicated between the brackets. When the same sentence type is asked for, change the order. Let's do number one together. An example, the club closed, the friends went home. Change this sentence, this structure, to compound. How do we change it to compound? The club closed, so the friends went home. You can also say the club closed and the friends went home. You make it compound, okay? We have two separate simple sentences. You join them together using a compound structure. So, for example, for number one, they lost the game, they received a penalty. How would you change this to a complex? How do you make this sentence
Can
complex?
I try?
Who is talking?
Raghav. Yeah. We can say when they lost the game and then comma, they received a penalty.
Can you say that again? Sorry, I didn't hear it well.
When they lost the game, they received a penalty.
Okay.
When they lost the game, it should be dependent, and the second one is independent.
Right. Any other idea? True. Yes, I agree. Yeah, what about the second one? Mm-hmm. Amina, can you try the second one? We had steak for dinner, then we watched TV. How do you make this structure compound?
Okay. We had steak for dinner, comma. Then we watched the TV.
And, yes, and
yeah, and then we watched the TV.
And then we watched the TV. True. Yes. Next. Ahmed?
Mister, we
Yes.
cannot see the rest. Can you just like?
Okay, I'm trying. Yes, let me just. Okay.
Okay.
What about? Is it better now?
Yes.
The woman was lost. She asked for direction.
Yeah.
How do you make it?
Was lost. The woman was lost. Comma.
Mm-hmm.
The woman was lost because she asked for directions.
Is this a compound or complex? Because she asked for direction.
It's a complex
She.
because of
It's a
because.
complex. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Make it compound, not complex. Using the fanboys.
Yeah, yeah.
For and but.
The woman was
So
lost, so she asked for directions.
yes, the woman was lost, so
So
she
she
asked for direction. Mm-hmm. Yes, Helen, in number 4, can you try this one? Yes, Helen. Can you hear us, Helen, or let me choose someone else if you can't? Yeah. Hajar. So yeah, make it
Yes,
simple. We were tired because it had been a long day. This is a complex structure. How do you make it simple?
uh, uh, we were tired and we came late because
Yes, okay.
and put comma.
Yeah, okay.
It had been a long day.
Comma or full stop?
Full stop.
Full stop. We separate the two sentences, okay? We were tired. Full stop. It had been a long day.
Yes.
Two different simple sentences, okay?
Yes.
Very good. Okay, Ahmed, sorry, Malvin, number 5.
Before that, I have a question.
Yes.
So, if you want to make a sentence simple, if it's either a complex or uh, compound
Yeah.
we need to not put
separate.
so
No.
we have to separate them, like not putting the coordinators and subordinators.
Not in this structure, not always. Here, you cannot put the comma. So how would you put the comma here? If you say, we were tired, so it had been a long day. No, it doesn't make sense. Like,
I mean, no, I meant like if you want to make a sentence into a simple
yes.
sentence, we should not put the subordinators and the coordinators, or
No. Only coordinators. When it's necessary, we use the simple, coordinators to join two independent clauses. For simple, you don't need coordinators and subordinators, okay?
that's what I meant.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, I got
All
it.
right. So Malvin, number 5, can you try this one?
Um,
Easy, Malvin.
the airport was closed because of the snow.
How do you make this one complex? It's complex. This one is also complex, but write it in a different way.
Mm, I don't know. After revision
Uh-huh.
the lectures.
This one is also a complex sentence, but can you rewrite in a different way?
Can
Mm-hmm.
because in the first sentence,
Yes, okay. Okay, go ahead.
the airport
Because
was,
of the snow,
The airport was closed.
yeah, but here you have to use comma. When you say because of the snow, you must have comma. Then the airport was closed.
Yes.
Yes, very good. You can say the airport was closed because of the snow. Because of the snow, the airport was closed. Good. Next one, maybe Raghat. I have seen him before. The man with the hat.
I have seen him before. The man of that complex. We should add it at the like subordinating conjunctions.
How?
For example, um, how can I say it? Um, even I can say even though I have seen him before, the man with the hat.
Even though I have seen the man with the hat before.
Before, yeah, like.
Well, why do you make it more complicated? Try to say, I have seen that man with the hat before. You can use the relative
Yes,
clause.
I can say before too, but yeah, I like the
It's okay.
complicated sentences.
Yeah, I have seen that man with the hat before.
Yeah.
I will
Oh,
show you the answer. Don't worry later. Okay.
okay.
Yes. Next one. I
So
mean, yeah. Please.
we can change the sentence as well.
You make it complex. You don't change. I mean, it's still the same meaning, but you make it complex. I have seen that man
I've seen
with
that.
man with the hat before. We don't
It's
change the.
I've seen it, but it is changing.
In what way? It's changing, like.
I mean, like changing the subject. I mean, like
Yes, but
I'm kind of confused.
look, for complex sentence, we said you can use an independent clause with dependent clause, right? This is the definition. I have seen that man with the hat before. I have seen that man. I have seen is what? It's the
Seen.
independent clause. I have
I
seen
have
all.
seen. Uh,
I have seen him, okay? Or that man. That man with the hat before is the relative pronoun, relative clause, okay? I will show you the answer, don't worry, okay. What about the next one? The Sammy has a new bike. She rides it in the countryside. Amina, make it complex. Rewrite the sentence using complex structure.
Okay.
You can use, again, the relative pronoun, which, for example, Sammy has a new bike, which she rides in the countryside.
The countryside, yes.
Sammy has a new bike, which she rides in the countryside. Okay. Let me choose someone else. Shko.
Yes.
Okay, Shko. So can you, for example, number 8, because the bath flooded, our house is very wet. Write it in a complex way, this sentence.
Sorry, I don't know.
You can say, our house is very wet because the bath flooded. It's a complex sentence.
We can also say our house is very wet since the bath flooded.
Exactly. Since means because, Rohan, it's the same thing.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Number 9, who can try this one out? Helen, can you try this one if you can hear us? The teacher became upset as the students were not listening. As here means because the students were not listening. Simply, you can say the teacher grew upset, full stop. The students were not listening. Simple. What about number 10? Who can try this one? Hajar?
Yes. When I get home, I will have a cup of tea.
Think about the definition of the compound sentence. What's a compound? Make it compound.
We should put a fan pause.
Okay, good. Use and, for example. The word and.
When I get home and I will have a cup of tea.
I will go home and I will have a cup of tea. Isn't it better? Yeah, my sentence is better. I will go home and I will have a cup of tea.
Yes.
First you go home.
Change all the sentence.
Exactly. First you go home, then you will have a cup of tea.
Yes.
You don't have a cup of tea, then you will go home. Okay.
Mr.
Right,
Yasin,
thank
what
you.
about when I go home? When I go home.
Okay. I will have a cup.
I will have a cup of tea when I got home. Can you say that?
That's also possible.
We can also say when I get home yet I will have a cup of tea.
Yes, that's also possible. Yes, good. So I'm trying to show you the answer to these. There's more than one possible answer actually. Okay? Yeah. So I'm afraid I have to end today's session. If you have any questions, anything you want to add, most welcome. Or I will end the session. By the way, guys, I think I sent your marks to the department. Did you get your midterm? Okay, good. I think you did very well. I mean, generally speaking, most of you got high marks.
Yes.
Yeah. You still have 10 marks with me. I'm gonna help you there, okay? But for the final, it's a different story. You have to study hard, plus make more effort, okay? For the final, I mean.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Okay. Any questions? Anything you want to say before I end today's session?
Nope. Thanks.
You say in English, no question is a question. When you don't have a question, it means you have a question. Or when you say no comment, no comment is a comment. So that's it then. Thank you so much, guys. Hope you have a nice time and enjoy. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye bye. See you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye. Take care.